I've always wondered why evil people are rich and Christians are poor. Well, not poor, but I feel as if so many Christians are just not as wealthy and as blessed and as prosperous as we should be, right? What's the difference? Well, lately I've sort of been reading my Bible, as most Christians should. And I've realized that Jesus says something very interesting. He says, when you pray, pray as if your prayer has already been answered, and it shall be given to you. Now, the reason why that sort of interests me is because it becomes very clear to me that faith and certainty are very closely related. And doubt is the killer of answered prayers. Doubt is the killer of healings, of success, of action, of movement, spiritually and physically. We see this again show up in the Bible, right? We all know the saying that you can't serve two masters at the same time, right? But yet, how often do we as Christians doubt that our prayers will be answered? How often do we come to God with requests that sort of in our back of our minds say, yeah, I believe you can do this for me, but I don't really know if it's going to come to pass. But then when we see people in Hollywood, these sort of successful gurus, these moguls, they walk, they live, they breathe as if everything is theirs, as if they are untouchable, as if the world that they're living in wasn't created by our Father, but was created by theirs, the God of this world, right? The devil. But the truth remains that the things that they're using to help them be successful, the truth that they're using to help them progress are biblical principles. What would happen if you walked through life with a little bit more belief, with knowingness that the things that you pray for will come to pass? But not even will come to pass, but rather that the things that you are praying for, God has already answered. You're just waiting for them to arrive. So what's interesting to me is a while back ago, I was very sort of interested in sort of like the, new age things of the world, right? Like, the manifestations and all these different things 5 years ago, maybe more. And then when I really started reading my Bible again, I realized that a lot of the principles that they're preaching are biblically based principles. The idea of manifesting your dream life and all these different things are biblically based principles. All of them are biblically based principles. And people are using them, swearing that these things are brand new, that the universe will do this, all these different things. It's like, no. God is sovereign. God is the one who will answer your prayers. It's not the universe. Now it depends. Who you put your faith in is how your prayer gets answered, because the devil can hear your prayers just as God can hear your prayers. Both can hear you. But who you put your faith in and who you give your prayers to, that's what's important. But the posture that you pray with is even more important when it comes to how you present your prayers. How much faith do you have that God can answer your prayers? How much faith do you have that these things will come to pass. Why is trust so often brought up in the Bible? Why is this idea of belief and faith so often brought up? I mean, even we notice that when Jesus approaches people for healings, he says to them, "Do you believe that I can do this?" The woman who was bleeding, when she came up to touch Jesus' garment, he said to her, "Go, for your faith has made you well." Your faith has made you well. She ran up to Jesus and she went to touch his garment. She went up with such conviction that if she touched his garment, that she would be healed. She knew before she even went to Jesus that if she touched his garments, she would be healed. There wasn't a shred of doubt in her. She was like, "Oh no, if I touch him, I will be healed." And she was, subsequently, and Jesus then affirmed her and said that it was your faith. So what would happen if you approached perhaps your upcoming job interview with such conviction, with such knowingness and faith? What would happen if you approached your new relationship with the faith and the conviction that it would work out? What would happen if you approached your exam with that level of confidence? What would happen if you approached your next match or sporting event with that confidence, right? What made Usain Bolt so confident when he was on the start line? He was making hand gestures and having fun with the crowd and all these different things, and he would win because he was so relaxed. But why was he so relaxed? Because he knew that victory was already his. Same as Conor McGregor, same as Michael Jordan, same as all these different people that we see. They embody this knowingness that they're great. Well, I guess my challenge for you today is that, you should do the same. God created you in his image. He created all of us in his image. We are children of the God who split the seas in half, the God who raised Lazarus from the dead, the God who created the universe, the heaven and the earth, the God who was and is to come. So how can I not walk around this world in pure confidence when I know that the God that I serve is living within me, that the same Spirit that did all those miraculous works is living within me? Have faith, have belief in knowing that if you truly, truly pray as if your prayer has already been answered, and you pray all of this in Jesus' name, that it will come to pass. Just don't serve two masters at the same time.